That's good. Close enough has been great. All right, here we go. We want to basically invite everybody to Mom and Dad Talks today. And today we're going to talk about something very, very special that unfortunately a lot of people don't do a whole lot. And what does that mean? That means that, you know what? A lot of people don't plan. Okay. A lot of people don't plan for their future. A lot of people don't plan for their kids going to college. And planning is a very, very important thing in life. So we're going to talk about planning and why it's important here. So basically, as I'm sharing the screen here, all right, from the beginning, planning, always thinking ahead. What does this mean here? The definition of a plan. First definition, a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. Number two, an intention or decision about what one is going to do. Understand that. This was plain. Bible says this in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So God even has a plan for you in this life, whether you believe it or not. Okay? Now, this is interesting. And this is in the NIV version. It's how to think. Christ is talking here in Luke 14:28-33. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you. 30 saying this, person began to build and wasn't able to finish. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have and cannot be my disciple. Wow. Mouthful right there. Tongue twisters. At the end of the day, even God expects us to plan. Right? Now, you got to give room for God to do all this kind of stuff. But I want to stress today, especially in today's climate, why planning is so important. So, Mom and Dad, why is planning so important?
I will start this out to say that if you don't plan, if you plan to fail, you fail to plan. That's my saying, that I like. So everything that I do and have done, I have to plan for it in order to be successful at what I want to do.
And the thing is that when you make a plan, you have to allow God to change your plans. And you have to listen to that still small voice, because a lot of times our plans that we make are not for our best benefit. If we make a plan to buy a $5 million house, and we're a clerk at Walmart, that plan is destined to fail. And therefore, we have to know when a plan is for us and when God is in this plan and He has this plan for our best interest. When we were discussing about where you would go to college, now I, as a school teacher in a public school, I was all enthused with you going to the University of Michigan.
Yes.
Because that is a Big Ten school that has a lot of prestige, and when they invited you up to talk to you and to offer you a plan to come to their school, I was all enthused for that. But your mother made a suggestion, and her suggestion was for you to attend Oakwood College, just 1 year. And then I watched, and we drove you down to Oakwood, and when we got there, I said, "Oh, University of Michigan is not in God's plan. Oakwood is in your plan." So that's when I said, "Okay, enough of U of M. My plan is, how do you say it, trash canned. It's gone. It's gone." And God's plan for you at Oakwood turned out tremendously. And you are a Christian today because of that. Because there are other people that I look at now who did go to the University of Michigan that were good, faithful Seventh-day Adventists at the time, but once they went up there, they seemed to drift away
Mm-hmm.
from truth. And so a lot of times we have to realize that God's plans are not always the best plans.
Mm-hmm.
Our plans are not always the best plans.
God's will is the best.
God's will is the best way.
Well, you know, and just to clarify there, what people don't know is, I have a cousin. His name was Samuel Mitchell. He played for the University of Michigan, and we were the same age. And I'll never forget when we were driving about 3 years in. You know, this guy was on television, all the things you want in life. Basketball player for the University of Michigan, playing with the Fab Five. You think everything would be great. And he said, I wish I would have gone to an HBCU like you and Carlin. Here's a guy who played with Shaquille O'Neal in the Dapper Dan contest.
Mm-hmm.
And he wished he went to a school like mine. And he said, because you guys seem to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the Christian content behind it, and I look at the fact that it was made especially for people like myself, I mean, I don't regret ever going there at all, because I became a better person, became a better man, became a better Christian, a husband. I got wonderful friends that believe in God. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I'm saying anybody who doesn't believe in God or anything can't be my friend. I'm just saying that I got close connect that, you know what? I got people that can pray for me. And I understood the power of prayer more than anything else. And so, you know, the best of plans can be laid to ruins if you don't have a backup plan to a backup plan. And you know, but planning is very, very important. Back to our subject more. So we understand God's got to make room, but let's talk about this word plan, because you guys plan a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you let God do his thing, but you guys plan it. So explain to everyone here the importance of a plan, because even Christ was saying you got a plan if you're going to take on something.
Hey, I was just visiting some Adventist neighbors of mine before we went on here, and we were talking about what we were going to talk about today's plans. And I said to them, I said, you know, the plan that I had in mind, that I practiced, was what God wants me to do. First of all, when we have jobs and we work at them, we get paychecks. I said, when I was growing up, my dad always gave us $1 for an allowance. And he said, now remember, put your 10 cents in for tithe. And so that kind of was a teaching lesson for me. So when I got grown up and started working, I always heard him say, always put your tithe in. Well, he stressed tithe, but then there's another step further on that I learned to do. And that is to put an offering in after your tithe, in addition to your tithe. And do you know that as of today, from doing that practice of tithe and stewardship, combined budget, or whatever church expense, whatever way you want to list it, God has led us to the, I shouldn't say finish line, but we're closer to the end of our life than we have behind us. We've got more behind us than we do in front of us.
Ahead of you, right.
Ahead of us. So I say all that to say this, that God's plan from the very beginning on that Malachi 3:10 and 11, that is the best way to start your planning in life. Because if we don't follow his plan, he will blow on our income, and we won't even be able to find what do we do with our money.
Mm-hmm.
But we can give give an account for everything that we have coming in our throughout our married life and our retired life. And I have to say that God is good to us, because we do not have any debt. Home is paid for. Automobiles are paid for. No credit card debt. I mean, God makes a way out of no way.
But you guys made a plan to make sure you don't get in debt, right? Mm-hmm. You guys plan to actually say by the time you're 60-something years old, you're going to have your house paid for, mm-hmm. your car's paid for, and basically you're just going to pay for taxes and your regular expenses. And that type of planning that you guys meticulously put in, even a standpoint when you even rebuilt on the house, you guys plan for the house to be paid for and to live the rest of your life in comfort.
Yeah.
That was all careful planning.
Right.
And I noticed that you guys didn't waste a whole lot of time taking expensive trips going nowhere, because you knew that at that time frame would have impeded you guys enjoying life.
However, we have been traveling out of the country.
Oh, yeah. You guys are traveling well. In fact, you guys are doing better than most people that are your age. God has blessed you, but also too, He's shown you how to plan properly. And I just know this, that being raised by two parents that plan ahead. You plan even if it fails. What's my plan to get out of this?
Right.
And then after I plan to get out of this, what's my plan if that fails? What's the worst thing could happen? And I always thought about the worst case scenario, right? That's how I start with my planning. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen out of the situation? And if it's something that you cannot deal with and handle for the time frame it handles, then don't do it. But if something that, if the worst thing happens out is this, I can deal with that, right? And generally speaking, I've been pretty good with that kind of thought that you guys have taught me is to plan and then plan again. So that way, it really, when I make a decision, it's the right one because I thought it all out.
And basically what that is hedging your bets. You don't go beyond your means. Sure, it would be nice to, have luxury and valuable things like that, but in the long run, what do you benefit from that? The best plan for financial advice is found in the Bible, in Malachi, and that is to pay a faithful tithe and offering. And if we do that, that is the best financial plan in the world. Now, Myrna has a tag on her refrigerator that says, if you want to get rich quick, count your blessings.
And that's the thing about it. If you're not happy with where you're at, the Bible teaches in Philippians, I think 4, in that chapter, you got to be happy in whatever state you're in, right? You're not always going to be at a happy state or a great state. You're going to be sometimes at different states of your life, but can you find joy in the state that you're in? And a lot of people will go broke trying to find joy somewhere else, whether it's another spouse, whether it's going on a vacation all the time. You got to go on. That's why people are having a problem with COVID right now, because they're not in a happy place at home, a lot of them.
That's correct.
Yep. I mean, seriously, if you're content at home, okay, I'm cool at home. I'm cool on a trip. I'm cool wherever I'm going to be at, right? Because I'm going to be cool. And people are going to want to be around people who are cool like that because they're like, hey, this dude is always cool. But a lot of times people are not cool because they have to have something that makes them happy. And if God can't make you happy, whatever state you're going to find yourself in, you're just not going to be happy. I mean, look at all these people who got with the first time when George Bush was in office and the economy went kaput, billionaires shooting themselves in the head. They said after the money they lost, they were still had enough money to spend for the rest of their lives. But they killed themselves because of pride, because of that ego. Like, oh man, what are people going to think of me? Well, you know what? So what? They're going to think ill of you anyway, right? So, like I said, I don't think a lot of people really plan. What they do is they just think enough to be dangerous. Can I do this? Can I get away with it? And then they don't think about the consequences of that decision, right?
Right.
So whatever you plan, whatever you do, whether you're going to start a new job, start a new business, plan. If it doesn't work, what is your plan after that? Well, I'm just going to try to, okay, if your plan is that this is going to be go or bust, that means you got to have a plan on top of a plan if the plan you start off with don't work. But most people don't think that deep. They think just enough to be dangerous. If that's your only choice, you got to give everything you have, and then you have a choice after that to help pull you out of that bad choice or the choice that didn't work out in your favor. And what I'm saying is that kind of thought, that kind of planning that takes place doesn't happen a whole lot. And you see it in society. People just try something to see if it's going to work, or they believe in snake oil. What do I call snake oil? The easy button. Boom. Can I hit the easy button? And they'll hit the easy button and it doesn't work. And they get mad at the person because they say, oh, this is going to help you. Well, you know what? Most of the time you got yourself in trouble because of years and years and years of bad decisions, or continual bad decisions. So even, I've been a basketball coach. I tell people this all the time. Changing a kid's form to shoot better at the later stages, they always fight you because they were successful at where they're at, but where they're going to, that form is not going to help them. Same thing in life, right? The form you currently have probably got you where you're going pretty good, but it's not going to get you past that other curve if you keep on using that same bad form. Right. And that's what planning is all about, is to help you, assist you in changing your form, help assist you in learning new stuff. And you got to always have that kind of thought of being able to, you know, adapt and change for the better. Hello.
Yeah. And you know, that's the thing that amazes me is during this COVID-19, there are so many young people that are risk takers. You know, now we're not supposed to be in large groups, but when I saw that video of that party at can I say the name of the lake?
No, can't say that.
At that party at a particular lake in this area, and it was filled with all of these young people without mask on, out there dancing, drinking, and having a good time. Those are risk takers. And the thing that wound up is I think I heard there were 19 of those people that wound up testing positive for COVID-19. They are willing to gamble their life for just a couple of hours of fun and games.
But Dad, look at it. A lot of people think that, okay, this is COVID, right? They don't think what's the worst thing can happen to you. John, Cain, Herman Cain, right? Herman Cain, dead now. Well, he went without a mask, but I mean, and you got to think about this. Is it worth dying for you to do an event like this? The potential is there. The risk is there. But some people are like, oh, I'm strong enough until you get it, until the outcome doesn't happen the way you want it to. See, that's what I'm talking about, is that different level of thinking. If I'm going to take this risk and it's going to possibly kill me, is that really worth the risk to do that event or that thing? Now, for some people, that may be the risk. Hey, you know what? I had the greatest time of my life. I'm dead in a couple weeks. Then fine, that's you. I just don't think that way. I don't think planning really, if you want to plan to do that, then you understand the risk that you're taking and you're okay with the outcome.
Right. It's like the young man that was 30 years old that went to a party and his departing words were, I made a mistake.
Yeah. The worst thing you could do is make a mistake because you only thought enough to be dangerous to say, you know what, I kind of know this thing, and you think of the best outcome possible. It's kind of like spending all your money buying lotto tickets, right? The best possible outcome is I'll win. But what happens if you don't win? You spent over $100. You could probably fed your family, probably done some other stuff, or got yourself out of this debt you're in, and you're wishing. There's a difference between wishing your life away versus planning your life for purpose. And we'll talk about purpose probably at our next Mom and Dad Talks. But planning is a very important part, and how to think about planning and how to plan for stuff. And so before we go, Mom and Dad, any advice for a good planner? How's a good planner work?
A good planner tries not to make mistakes in whatever plans they have.
Expound on that. Make mistakes.
Think the plan through carefully, because if I do this, what will happen? If I don't do this, what will happen? So when I say think the plan through, you have to think how you're going to come out with either plan that you're going to do. So I say planning carefully does pay off, and thinking through your plans to be successful. When you plan, it takes the fear out of failure.
Dad, that's a great one, Mom. Dad, you got any last thoughts before we close?
In all your planning, consult God. Pray, 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 pray. And He will direct your path. That's the way in which you should go.
Well, everybody, hope you really enjoyed today. Hope you got these wonderful tips about planning and thinking through stuff, and how God orchestrates in your planning and how you have to let Him arrange for stuff. Hope you enjoyed today. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming on Mom and Dad Talks. Have a great one. See you next week.